This is the ARLa Thunder Trucks here at Carbondale for the second to last round of the 2010 season. Justin Parker started on the pole in car number 07. However, here comes Armand Mitra with a great run coming off of turn 1. He's going to sweep by the 07 easily to take the lead. However, when they come back around, they're going to see the yellow flag because we had an incident right after the start of the race. 4 wide doesn't work, especially right after the start. Jeremy Johnson drifts up into Earl McDermott, causing a small pileup, including Mario Franchetti and Jacob Eichholz in the 127. You also saw Eileen Casquillas in the 86 get a small piece of that. Everyone pitted under that yellow, and it was Justin Parker reassuming the lead on the restart. However, once again, Parker receives a challenge from Armand Mitro, and once again, the caution is going to fly. Roger Rabet in the 010 is going to drift up to the 097 of Mario D'Souza, taking D'Souza into the wall, right into the path of Toby Armstrong, who slams into the 097 and takes both cars out of the race. We had an incident coming into the pits during the yellow flag. Bernie Fellows in the 250 gets turned around by Michael White in a huge gaggle of cars. This forces Matt Pearson in the 2 into the end of the tire barrier. And Aaron Cruz, I don't know what he's doing in that 44 car. However, he seems to get it going with a bit of a nudge from Steven Teller in the 77. Armand Mitra in the 200 continues to lead on the restart with Lawrence Burr in the 63 car in second, and that is Allie Riggs in third in the 219, back from her suspension from Lake Afton. Officials put her on the sidelines for that race after it was revealed that she intentionally spun Mitchell Hill at Dover in order to bring out a yellow flag. Speaking of yellow flags, caution number 3 occurred not long after the restart. Jacob Eichholz, Casey Campbell, and Joey Tate all get together coming off of turn 3 and carry each other into the wall. That will take all 3 cars out of the race. Most of the leaders pitted under that yellow, leaving Mitchell Hill in the lead on the restart with Ansgar Clemens in second. However, Armand Mitro is trying to take that spot from him. Clemens led the points for most of the season and then was injured at Quincy and had to sit out for a couple of races, and that has pretty much put him out of championship contention. Caution number 4 saw Michael White in an unfortunate chain of events. First, Zach Gott appears to have not seen the 0 as he tries to pull into the pits. And hello, Aaron Cruz. Cruz drifts up into the 0 coming off of turn 3, sending both cars spinning. However, they're going to continue. And then shortly after the restart, the next yellow flew. Jeremy Johnson drifts up into the wall. He gets hooked by Wyatt Dyers and starts a small pileup involving Mitchell Hill, Ansgar Clemens, Mario Franchetti, Vinny Enzo, Earl McDermott, Matt Pearson, among others. However, they get that sorted out very quickly. Lawrence Burr leads on the restart with Mitchell Hill in second. Hill decided not to pit after being involved in that incident. Laura Cyrus is in third. Holden Roberts in the 27 is a lap down. Zach Gott is going to trigger caution number 6 when he pulls out of the pits right in front of championship leader Landon Rohde in the 003, who got his first win at Lake Afton last week. And then as they regroup, Rohde expresses his frustration by turning Gott into the wall. Can't say I blame Rohde for that. However, the officials called him to the hauler for a little chat anyway. Zach Gott was also called to the hauler for, well, obvious reasons. Laura Cyrus in the 50 leads on the restart with Ansgar Clemens in second, and then her teammate Allie Riggs in third. Justin Parker in the 07 runs in fourth, and then in fifth is Roger Rabet in the 010 with one of his best runs of the season so far. Caution 7, we're not even halfway through this 100-lap event yet. Armand Mitra in the 200 apparently gets tired of the lap car of Earl McDermott holding him up, and so he spins the 80. McDermott, my usual cohort in the OEN booth, was the victim of the next caution. Kyle Eckerton apparently got sick of McDermott too and spun him into the inside wall. Lawrence Burr in the 63 continues to lead. That is his M&J teammate Zach Gott in the 264 running a lap down and, well, off the pace. However, he is not holding up traffic. That is Jeremy Johnson's job at the moment. This allows Lawrence Burr to get a huge lead in just this one lap. However, that's not going to matter because the next caution flew shortly after the restart. Johnson bounces off the wall into Brian McGinnis in the 8. This also causes Ansgar Clemens in the 45 to get together with the 65 of Wyatt Dyers and take both cars into the wall. Brian McGinnis remained in second for the restart. However, he gets held up by Zach Gott in the 264, while Lawrence Burr gets away once again. However, that didn't matter again because we promptly had another incident. Ansgar Clemens gets into the 77 of Steven Teller coming off of turn 2 and takes both cars into the wall. Steven Teller is going to drop out of the race, but Clemens is going to continue. While the field was staking the yellow, Roger Abett drifts up into Kyle Eckerton, causing Eckerton and Scott Dalitz to go into the wall. Here comes Holden Roberts. He pegs the 46. Looked like Jeremy Johnson, Earl McDermott, and Wyatt Dyers were also involved in that. Lawrence Burr pitted under that yellow. Brian McGinnis in the 8 leads on the restart with Michael White in second. Zach Gott is still up with the leaders, holding up traffic. Caution number 11 flew when Jeremy Johnson once again bounces off the wall coming off of turn 2. This time he's going to flag to Vinny Enzo, Ansgar Clemens, and Kyle Eckerton. All 4 cars go spinning. Brian McGinnis led on the restart once again. However, he has a mechanical problem of some sort and has to dive into the pits from first. And he's going to lose a lap doing so. Tough break for McGinnis. This would have been a career day for him. But thankfully, he's going to be retained by Pearson Sweeney Motorsports next season. Michael White would inherit the lead, but he gets into the wall coming off of turn 2, opening up the door for ARLa Riggs. White's teammate Armand Mitro is third, but now he is under attack from Justin Parker, your pole sitter. Mario Franchetti would trigger caution number 12. Thankfully, it's not an actual incident. Instead, his car just breaks down on him, and he is going to come to a stop on the track. ARLa Riggs leads on the restart as we near the closing stages of the race. Armand Mitros in second. He took that spot from his team owner just before the caution came out. Here we are on board Mitro. ARLa Riggs drifts up the track a bit high in turn 3. She scrapes the wall, opening up the door for the 200. He gets a good run coming into the corner, but watch your outside. There goes Riggs with a great run coming off of turn 1. She's going to take the lead back and build up some distance between herself and the 200. 3 wide between Brian McGinnis, Vinny Enzo, and Zach Gott is the culprit of caution number 13. McGinnis and Enzo get together, causing the 263 to spin up into his teammate, taking both cars hard into the wall, and that will take the M&J teammates out of the race. That incident was quickly followed up by the 14th and thankfully final caution of the race. I believe that's a record high for this season. Aaron Cruz, Roger Abett, and Lawrence Burr go spinning, and then Kyle Eckerton and Earl McDermott come barreling in. That's going to take Roger Abett out of the race. Tough break for him. He was having one of the best runs of his season. There were only 2 laps to go when the race restarted. ARLa Riggs is still your leader, and yes, your eyes are not fooling you. There are only 14 cars left in the race. Riggs is being pursued by Armand Mitro, Justin Parker, and Bernie Fellows, 3 drivers who have already won races this season. However, ARLa Riggs is going to hold off her competitors and score her first ARLa Thunder Trucks victory here at Carbondale. And here are your top 10 finishers. Justin Parker ended up in 3rd, Bernie Fellows 4th, Mitchell Hill in 5th. We think he may go back to the ARLa Elite Series next season if Dale Underwood goes to the RROL. Ultra Fury Racing is planning on opening a team in that series. Scott Dalitz finished a rather quiet 6th. He will be driving for his family-owned team in the ARLa Elite Series next season with Benji Flynn as his teammate. Lawrence Burr 7th, Laura Cyrus in 8th, Phineas Marshall 9th, he was the first car a lap down, and Brian McGinnis, even after all of his troubles today, finishes 10th. And here are your top 10 in points heading into the final race at Rockford. Landon Rohde and Phineas Marshall are the only drivers in contention for the championship. They are separated by only 4 points. Vinny Enzo is in 3rd, 75 points back. Bernie Fellows is 4th, 95 back. Armand Mitro 5th. Tristan Roberts 6th. Ansgar Clemens still hanging up there in 7th despite sitting out a couple races. Mitchell Hill in 8th. Earl McDermott 9th despite all of his troubles today. And then Laura Cyrus rounds out the top 10.